What's going on, everyone? We are back into set 5, and today I gotta talk about a list here that I think has potential to be one of the best lists in set 5, which honestly is no surprise because it's just kind of a modification of one of the best lists already in set 4. But before we dive into what kind of new additions that we get with this list and why they're actually functional in this list, gotta say a big thank you to patrons. Guys, thank you for supporting the channel. We do a meet up with the Galactic Championship coming up here. And also I have a TCG player link in the description down below if you guys want to pick up any Star Wars Limited card that you want from set 5. But let's talk about Han Data Vault here. This is the old Han, or I shouldn't say old Han, because we got like a million different Hans. But this is the Han from set 2, the ones that's going to generate a ton of value for us by reducing the cost on a lot of our units. Okay, great. We already know that this leader is incredibly powerful, but what do we get from the new set? There's really 3 cards, in my opinion, that are incredibly interesting for the list, and mainly just because we get such a resource discount on Han, they become significantly better. The first one, and by far the one I am most excited about, is Kelleran Beck. This is just a great heroism command unit to be added to the pool of cards that you can play in heroism. It kind of acts like a home one, although it comes down a turn earlier, and it doesn't require things to be in your discard pile. Instead, you just grab things from the top of your deck. And remember, this says search the top 7 cards of your deck and play a unit that you get 3 cost reduction for. It's not just you have to choose a 3 cost less unit, because that means that if you have, let's say, a ton of resources, like say you play Kelleran Beck and you've got, I don't know, 15 resources, you could technically play Krayt Dragon off the top of your deck. And this deck is looking to get in the mid to late game, which is really, really powerful. Now, along with that, we also have a new big fat unit on the top end, which is Bendu. Now, in most lists, I would even consider Bendu to be playable because it's just expensive and just a big body, right? That's kind of what we're looking at here. However, this list, we are ramping, and we already have ramp by nature of playing Han. So this is a 10-8 that comes down on 7 resources, which is way better than 8. Just a turn earlier, so impactful. And then it's just a big beater. And this is really important in this list because our whole idea is to put overwhelming value on the board turn after turn after turn. So your opponent's already spending all these actions to deal with earlier units to where when they get Bendu down, it's going to be a tough one to deal with. And if they happen to deal with it, guess what? We've got the things like Kelleran Beck or Home 1 to refresh the board and immediately deploy a bunch of things to make your opponent afraid. The last card that we've got is Grogu. Now, again, this is another card where in other lists, I'd be, it's okay, I guess. But in this list, it comes down, it's a 1/4, and you deal 2 damage to it. So now you can immediately heal 2 damage from the Grogu and start dishing 2 damage out to various different units. Alongside this, we get a bunch of units that you're used to, you know, your red 5s, your blue leaders, your Echo base defenders. You got Poe Damerons, which work well on Han. In general, this list is very similar to what you would have expected to see from the Han 2s of the world before. And it was a very popular list. And I say before, but it's actually what's happening right at this very moment. Instead, we just get big units, and arguably some of the best big units in our deck, right? Krayt Dragon is still an absolute beater against a lot of the control decks. Home 1's still pretty good against a lot of the go wide control or controlling decks that allows you to go wide. Same with Kelleran Beck. It's one of the reasons why Kelleran Beck is so exciting. So you just have a lot more tools to make the mid game to late game just immensely more difficult for our opponents to deal with. So really excited to dive into that. Let's go ahead and play some games and see what we could do with Han today. Into our first matchup, I actually do quite like our hand. I think Blue Leader could potentially be good, but I really am just most excited about Grogu and Home 1 and Resupply in this matchup. Just getting, you know, to our later game plays earlier, and then Grogu is actually really good up against Grand Inquisitor because they're probably going to be dealing damage to their own units, which means there's a good chance that we're going to be able to use the Grogu action to finish off units. And remember, Grogu cannot be attacked the turn he's played because he does have hidden. So this is just a really nice starting play for the deck. And remember, Grogu can start to heal essentially all of my further units. It's not just about dealing the damage. It's also that I can heal the future units that I play. There's an Aura Sing. Remember, if they use Grand Inquisitor's action right now, we can use Grogu to knock out Aura Sing, which kind of negates the value of Grand Inquisitor's ability. And that's the entire goal at the current moment. So we'll see what my opponent decides to do. I do think Grand Inquisitor Yellow is an exciting one to be dealing with. And look at that. My opponent going to be able to do what they wanted to do. But we now have the Grogu action, which is going to be able to take out that Aura Sing. And that's amazing, right? Like, they basically just used their entire 2 resources on turn 1 to deal 3 damage to my base, which isn't horrible, but it's definitely not exciting, right? 2 healing here, deal 2 damage to Aura Sing. Great. That's pretty powerful, right? That is pretty powerful. We can go with resupply here. And again, if they, go ahead and ready up Deathwatch Loyalist, that's fine. Because now we can actually use Grogu just to attack the Deathwatch Loyalist and knock it out. And there's a Poe Dameron, which is pretty powerful. But actually, I'm going to resource the other Grogu here and see what my opponent decides to do. Because we have the opportunity to deploy Blue Leader here, which may actually be better for us. The only way we lose this game, really, is if my opponent just goes to town and deals a lot of early damage and we're not able to keep up, right? So if we are able to, what I want to do is really just avoid any sort of damage coming out from my opponent. Like right now, they're going to ready up Scimitar almost assuredly, and I'm just going to deploy Blue Leader and trade with it. There's not anything else that I really want to be doing here. I really just don't want to be suffering a ton of damage, right? Because we have the late game absolutely in the bag. I mean, we have double Bendu, Kelleran Beck, Mace Windu, Poe Dameron in our hand. Like, our hand is utterly stacked right now. It's just a matter of, can I survive to deploy all the great cards in my hand? And right now we're in a good spot. We got Grogu on the battlefield still with a little bit of damage. We've got the Kelleran Beck, which ideally is going to be able to drop something pretty good. I'm actually just going to immediately... Actually, let's go ahead and heal 2 damage from Grogu and deal 2 damage to the Thralls of the Coven, because I might want to deploy Mace Windu this turn to actually finish off Thralls of the Coven. Whereas Kelleran Beck, although it would be great, it's potentially not going to prevent us from taking damage. And again, that's all we're trying to do here, is prevent us from taking damage. Timely intervention is amazing. This is a fantastic pickup, and actually I am going to keep that in my hand because I could deploy Poe Dameron or in the future Kelleran Beck to go ahead and get some major value here. In this spot, I'm just going to heal 2 damage up from my Mace Windu to deal 2 damage to the Strike Ship. That prevents my opponent from using the Grand Inquisitor here. Looks like they have a Marchion Ro, which, gives friendly units doubled raid, which is pretty powerful. In this particular spot, though, I am just going to play out a Kelleran Beck and see what I can grab. I can actually grab a Poe Dameron, which I think I might do. I can also grab Bright Hope. No, I think Poe Dameron's actually going to be useful because of the 1 resource cost reduction on the Kelleran Beck here. It ends up being pretty powerful. Oh, they're actually just going to trade with the Grogu, huh? All right. I mean, this is an easy claim initiative and knock out Marchion Ro, right? Oh, even better, guys. We can just Carabast away the Marchion Ro. That is amazing. So Carabast, boom, knock out that. I mean, this is just a textbook game here. Grogu just kind of just took it home with us for this game. Really, really nice there. Really, really nice. All right, Grogu just did some major work. We'll see if my opponent's got anything else. Looks like they're going to open fire. Don't really care about that, to be honest. I have Timely Poe right now. I can also wait a turn. Looks like my opponent's not going to do anything. So we're just going to attack, play Poe Dameron, and the game's over. I mean, the game's been over, but I mean, look at our hand. What is my opponent going to do? This turn we could... I mean, we're gonna Timely out of Bendu just for fun. I don't even care if we're gonna kill our own units. It's just for fun, just for fun. Opponent, They're ready for the ability to trigger. Anyways, it's GG. My opponent doesn't have anything. I mean, they have one card in hand. I don't know any card in the game besides like maybe a bombing run that they might have to knock out all the rest of the units because I trolled and I just wanted to have some fun. But no, my opponent's going to claim initiative and pass. GG to my opponent. That was really not close at all. Into the next game, and honestly, pretty happy with this hand. I'm going to just go and resource the Bright Hope and probably the Sabine. I'm actually really okay with just keeping my very expensive plays up against Thrawn. We'll see what my opponent's got, but we're just going to go with Grogu turn 1 into resupply turn 2, and I am pretty happy with our situation. One of the cards that might be a little bit more scary is like a Count Dooku or Darth Tyrannus rather, because of the ambushing potential with the Mystic Monastery. I'm not really sure what my opponent plans to use the Mystic Monastery for, but it is something that, we kind of just have to think about. We're going to resupply here. Again, I don't know what my opponent's going to be using the Force for. They don't have a turn 1 play, so I guess we'll see. Resupply, though, exactly where I want to be if my opponent doesn't have a turn 1 play. We've got Home 1 and Bendu in our hand, which is just fantastic. We will go ahead and heal up this unit to deal 2 over to the phase 3. And, I mean, great start. Great start. There's an Echo-based Defender, which, well, honestly looks decent. I guess I'll resource Bendu because Mace Windu can come down next turn. Really depends on kind of what my opponent is going to be doing here. Because I think I'm going to be playing Grogu and Echo-based Defender this turn. And so, obviously, I don't want to keep the Bendu because next turn I want to play the Mace Windu. They try... Okay, my opponent attempted to go as I have foreseen, play Liberated by Darkness for 4 less. Great, but then guess what? This is use the Force. You've already used the Force to play as I have foreseen. Yeah, they tried, but like that is unfortunate, guys. And then into the immediate concede. I think it would have been a pretty tough comeback for my opponent. Let's say they just killed Grogu here, or let's say they didn't have a way to kill Grogu. If they kill Grogu, great. We play Grogu Echo Base and we deploy Han, attack into the phase 3 Dark Trooper. I'm sitting pretty happy. Or maybe I don't even attack because I just play Mace Windu next turn and do the same thing. If they don't kill Grogu, I kill phase 3 Dark Trooper. I'm left with a 1/3 Grogu. I play Echo Base Defender. I can play Grogu also if I wanted to refresh the HP. Probably don't even bother. But then I get Mace Windu down next turn, and then I curve that into Home 1. So there's just a lot of things going on. But yeah, as I have foreseen, Into Liberated by Darkness is a non-bow. So good on my opponent, I suppose. Into our next matchup, we've got ourselves Anakin. And so honestly, my hand is not that great against Anakin. The cards I'm really looking for... Ooh, I mean, I think I got to resource the Home 1 here because I have the Kelleran Beck. The cards I'm really looking for on turn 1 are like Echo-based Defender rather than a Grogu. And the reason being is this is the one matchup. If I don't have the initiative, it's a little bit tricky, especially since, what they're going to be able to do here is actually just knock out my Grogu. Turn 2, they use Anakin's action, they just kill Grogu, right? That is the name of the game. And that's going to be pretty rough for us. Now, we will have the Poe Dameron deploy, which is pretty good into, Poe Dameron into Poe Dameron isn't bad. But definitely a weaker start. Not the turn 1 play that I would have wished for in the Anakin matchup. Let's go ahead and go Poe Dameron and... don't move the pilot over because I want to be able to trade with the Secretive Sage. Again, we just want to get to the late game. That is our goal here, is to get to the late game. Krayt Dragon, Karabast. I mean, I can actually, do a little bit of work here. We're just going to go Poe Dameron, attack into the Secretive Sage, and then we'll attack him with the X-Wing, and then we'll just play Poe Dameron and see what my opponent does. Obviously, they can just knock out Poe Dameron with their Adi Gallia, which isn't horrible for us. Again, if we get to the late game, I am pretty okay with that, right? Like, I'm pretty okay with getting to the late game against my opponents just because we have such massively powerful units across the board. Not a great hand at all here. We actually have basically nothing to play, which is not what you want to see. They're going to go ahead and just trade off. They're going to use the Adi Gallia. We are going to ready up a Cassian Andor because that's the only thing we have. And then we'll see what my opponent's got. Not that we're like losing really hard. Definitely not like losing really hard, but we're getting to that point where we've definitely been outpaced in the early game. It's a matter of can we recover into this mid game portion. I think we have a chance to with Kellerin back and Crate Dragon. My opponent, the cards we got to watch out for are things like yeah, that's not great for us. We're gonna just trade off here or kill our Cassian Andor, and then we'll attack with the X-Wing if they don't do anything. Okay, they're just gonna claim initiative, I imagine. What else do they have? I don't know. We'll see. Carabas could be pretty good. They're going to pass. All right, let's just claim initiative. Ooh, Mace Windu is kind of interesting. So Mace Windu can knock out Kiadi. I kind of like that. I think Bendu is going to be kind of mediocre here. I think I'll just trade off here. It's not great, but again, if I just stall out the game, I'm pretty happy with where my position is. Now, obviously, Anakin's going to be a little bit scary, and it might not even be worth it to even deploy or even attack with my X-Wing here because of how scary Anakin can be by just getting an extra power, right? And again, this is what I mean by like we were outpaced in the early game. So these Kellerin Becks here are going to be the name of the game in order to, kind of make up what we were losing or lacking in the early game. That initial turn one play of Grogu, if that was like just a little bit of a different play, it could have been a little bit different for us. They've got the Anakin. They're going to knock out my other unit. And again, this is what I was saying is like, it's going to get a little bit tricky here. We've got Timely, which I do like. Here, I'm just going to go with the Kellerin Beck. What can we grab? I mean, we can grab Cham, I suppose, just because it's a big unit. Like it's a 5/4, I did do the resource cost reduction on Kellerin because it does allow us to grab 4 drops off the top of our deck, and it also gives us a Carabas target. We still have the Han deploy, but it's not like Han's doing anything, so I just figured it's not worth the actions and having my opponent have initiative if we wanted to do something differently. Okay, I'm going to deploy Han now because we do have the option to take out Anakin, and that's actually worthwhile for us. So happy with that one. If we're able to trade off leaders here, I think we're in a better spot. The value you get, this is one of those decks where, because we have good value, but Force Throw Anakin, huh? I actually don't think that was all that strong of a play for my opponent. You definitely force throw yourself in that position just because you never know what I have. But like, I don't think we're super far behind because of that. Rebellious Hammerhead, huh? Wow, that's not all that powerful either. And we just got a home 1? I mean, not that we're in a great position, but we're not down and out just yet. We get to go in and knock out the Anakin, and then we get to play home 1, grabbing, I suppose, Grogu. We can also grab like Poe Dameron. I think we just grab Grogu. I should have used the Han action there, but that's okay. We have Timely Reinforcement next turn. Like I said, this is the key part. Can we stabilize? And we do have an option to stabilize if we're able to get to the next turn, potentially. It's all about, are we able to stabilize and get to the mid game? Rebellious Hammerhead. We're going to claim initiative, and we're going to see what my opponent's got, right? We're going to see what they've got. Now, remember, home 1 gives restore 1. Oh, wow, they have another force throw. I mean, that is pretty scary. What do I have here? So I can home 1 ambush out, but that doesn't do enough. I can timely reinforcement walker, which heals us for 6, which does keep us alive at least. So that's, the only thing that we can do. Realistically, that's all we've got. I did the math wrong in my head. That's going to be game over. GG to my opponent. Like I said, the early game of my opponent having the Secretive Sage, just the shielded unit is really what does some nasty stuff for us. If we had the initiative, let's say, the game completely is different, right? Because turn 1 we heal up Grogu, or turn 2 we heal up Grogu, we knock off their shield, we have a 1/6, and they don't have a shield on their Secret of Sage. We were just never able to recover. The force throws too much tempo advantage. We were able to deploy more than one play in a single turn. Bennu wasn't quite there in terms of the value, right? Like, they had the Rebellious Hammerheads, which ended up being very, very powerful in order to just kind of shrink down our units. Just overall, kind of just too much cheaper plays for my opponent. Too many plays in a single turn. And it's not like they went crazy overboard. It's just that we were only really playing one play a turn, whereas they were able to do, kind of the force throw, the Ki-Adi-Mundi plus Jedi Lightsaber, those types of things. Really, really close game. If they didn't have that second Rebellious Hammerhead, I think we would have had a good shot, as long as we were able to survive this turn, because we had another timely for home 1. And the other part is, because they had the second Rebellious Hammerhead plus the second force throw, they were able to knock out home 1. Because again, remember, home 1 gives restore 1 to my units. We were at 29 HP. If we had restore 1 on the reinforcement walker, we actually would have lived the 2 hammerhead attacks, and then we could have used home 1 to attack into the hammerhead. So really, really kind of just on knife's edge there in terms of how close the game truly was. But regardless, well played for my opponent. Into our next matchup, and we've got a Chancellor Palpatine Blue on the opposing side of the battlefield. So kind of curious to see what we're going to end up against. Got our Grogu on turn 1. Not like exceptionally excited about the Grogu on turn 1 in this matchup or anything like that, but we will see what ends up happening. I do like the resupply. Definitely like ramping in this matchup. I could have a pretty serious late game as well with like Avengers and Super Laser Blasts, and obviously Anakin's. Anakin's a very, very scary card to come up against. So we'll see what my opponent decides to do here. I think there's a chance that they may want to actually attack into my Grogu. Kind of an interesting attack, but I'm kind of incentivized to, hit the Youngling Padawan. So we'll see what my opponent decides to do here. I'm just going to resupply because, well, just an easy resupply here. Don't really need to be doing anything else. I mean, Anakin's got the shield token. I will heal 2 here and then just, deal 2 to the Anakin. Not sure why people are why they're playing Anakin over there, but hey, you know what? I am okay with it. Cham Syndulla probably not going to be all that great. Anakin Skywalker probably going to go ahead and die. We'll see what my opponent's got. I'm kind of excited for next turn because I can go Mace Windu and kill off all their units, which ends up being pretty valuable for us. Here, I'm just going to go Poe Dameron, though. And we will go ahead and heal 1 here and deal 1 to the Youngling Padawan. We'll see if Palpatine gets flipped here. They do flip Palp. We're going to deploy Han. And I mean, I'm feeling pretty ahead. They've got the As I Have Foreseen, and they grab a tech. All right, that's an easy claim initiative for me. And no good to me dead on Han? But why? Why not do it to the Poe Dameron here? Okay, I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. Just a little bit surprised. Let's go ahead and, I suppose, just attack. Discard 1, make them discard a card, I guess. It's not like it really matters for us. We're going to be able to heal up Poe Dameron with Grogu and then knock out the Youngling Padawan is kind of what my thought process is there. We could also play the Mace Windu, but honestly, I don't know if I care. We're just going to heal up 2, deal 2 over here. And they're incentivized to flip with Darth Sidious, so then we can go ahead and knock out their clone trooper with the Mace Windu. But I mean, I just don't know what my opponent's doing, really. They're going to play Anakin next turn. We have a lot of ground units, so that Qui-Gon's going to be a little bit scary, but... Okay, Darth Tyrannus, what are you ambushing here? Okay, let's go ahead and play a Mace Windu, trigger, knock out the Darth Tyrannus here. And I think what we'll do is we'll just claim initiative. Wolfpack Escort, huh? Okay, tech can go into the resource pile. I mean, we got so much value here. It's kind of absurd. We're going to go ahead and heal 2 off the Mace Windu to deal 2 to the Clone Trooper. Yes, they can flip back and forth. But again, I mean, do I really care about that is the question. I don't think I do. Home 1 doesn't even grab anything for us, really. So here, what I can do is just discard 2 cards. Like I can discard the Chewbacca and the Cassian. Deal... defeat an upgrade, which is the shield token, and then deal 2 to the Shin. And then I attack with Mace Windu. And I'm actually okay with playing into Super Laser Blast because it's not even this turn, it's next turn. Yeah, hidden doesn't prevent the 2 damage. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, guys. We well then. Sometimes, you know. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you just get games like that where you feel like you're dominating the whole game and then yeah, good game, I suppose. I will never understand how people get that frustrated in a Star Wars Limited Karabast of all places match. You know, it's not like we're playing in a tournament, my guy. We're just loading up a casual match here, getting some value in. Love this hand, by the way. I really like the Champs and Duel. I'm hoping my opponent goes like Super Laser Technician on turn 2 or the resupply on turn 2, so then we can like mega ramp. That's kind of the goal here. Like if I go Grogu here and they go Super Laser Technician, I'm actually going to kill the Super Laser Technician with my Grogu, so then I then can play Cham Syndulla to follow up ramp and get a unit down and then resupply afterwards. I kind of like that position, so really like Cham Syndulla here in this matchup. Again, resupply, Super Laser Technician. These are the cards that I actually want to see my opponent play on this turn. I love it if they go ahead and do that. Please go ahead and ramp. Please ramp. That's what I want to see. Please go ahead and ramp. They claimed initiative. Oh, come on, man. Really? We're gonna. I guess we'll resupply. I guess. Man, so tragic. I don't want to see that at all. Gonna buff up the Onyx Squadron Brute for my opponent. You know, just give him a little sprinkling of some power bonuses over on the Onyx Squadron Brute. Yes, I know I'm fighting Krennic, but I actually don't really care about my HP this game, so I am totally fine with that. Let's go ahead and actually play out the Poe Dameron, and if they have like a takedown, it is what it is. Like, not really worried about that. In fact, I actually would prefer if my units die for home 1 to get a little bit more valuable, because I think this game is going to go pretty long. I think we actually have a good chance of doing well. We do have to be worried about ECL Vader, right? That is something that's like number 1 name of the game. But right now, if I'm able to get this Grogu to live, or the Poe Dameron to live, then it's going to be pretty nice, because we can go ahead and knock out that Onyx Squadron Brute, which is kind of just a little bit of free value here. But I doubt that it's going to be the case. They probably have like a takedown, fell the dragon, power the dark side. All of that disrupts my plans. So yes, all of that would affect it. Although that's not at all what happened. Instead, they go with Lom Pike here. Okay. I mean, Lom Pike isn't really all that scary, because Lom Pike isn't going to be able to deal with my Poe Dameron after the heal. It's supposed to be an ECL, huh? Well, honestly, if they're ECLing out the Lom Pike, I'm pretty happy with how we are positioned in the game. So, I don't know. I'd be very happy if my opponent decided to ECL out Lom Pike, right? Oh, they claimed initiative. I didn't mean to pass if they claimed initiative. Whoops. My mistake. They're going to knock out the Poe Dameron here. Sure. I mean, we don't really have any great options here. Lom Pike with Overlaying Barrage is good, no doubt. See if they knock out the Grogu. I imagine they probably would. I don't see why not, to be honest. Oh, they're just going to ignore Grogu. Okay, they're just going to start developing some shields. I think that's a pretty reasonable play as well. Let's go ahead and deploy out the Han. And they're going to play out Krennic. We will go ahead and put out a Cham. No ramping with it, but that's okay. We will claim initiative here. And, ooh, that's a Bendu. All right. I mean, Grogu going to go into the resource pile. What do I want to do here? I mean, I'm going to deploy immediately the Reinforcement Walker. And I will discard a card because I don't think Mace Windu is going to be all that great. But we do have to be worried about ECL Vader. Again, this is why I say if that was ECL Lon Pike, I think my game would have been so much better. I'd actually rather them do that over what they just did, which is just deploy out Lon Pike. They have the Overwhelming Barrage as an answer. They have a shuttle here. They can move a shield token around. That's going to be pretty obnoxious, to be honest. So not too bad on that note. But, I mean, we will be able to defeat some of the shield tokens depending on where they go. Lon Pike is pretty obnoxious here. They can give a shield token back over to Grogu, potentially. They're going to give a shield token to Lon Pike and probably to Grogu here. I mean, I like them attacking my units because that means next turn I can attack it to Lon Pike with Reinforcement Walker. And I'm happy with that scenario. Again, Lon Pike does so much value on this type of board. Just so powerful at wiping out so many different units. So really, really obnoxious actually to deal with. Here, another Reinforced Walker looks great. Home 1 looks great. Chewbacca looks pretty good. I like the blue leader. Bendu just doesn't feel all that great when my opponent's got so many great removal options. We're just going to knock out Lon Pike. I'm going to discard the card. Just start healing. Again, my opponent has Darth Vader. Darth Vader ECL makes the game scary, to say the least. Very, very scary. Do not like my opponent being able to ECL Vader by any means. We had to knock out the Lon Pike, otherwise we would have just lost slowly but surely to the Lon Pike. So can't allow that to stay on the board for too long. There's the ECL Vader. All right, well, you know, we knew it was coming, and here it is. At least it's gone now. That gives me a little bit of relief. So I do like that. They're going to defeat Han and the Grogu, and we are going to deploy out the Reinforcement Walker, and we'll see what my opponent decides to do afterwards. Reinforcement Walker. We will discard the Echo-based Defender. I don't really care about that card. Crate Dragon is a card that I would never discard here. But again, we're kind of playing this value game, right? My opponent claims initiative because they want to kill Grogu off, which totally fair, by the way. I think that's totally reasonable to do. Put Amron going to the resource pile. I really do like having a lot of resources with Han because of Home 1, because of Kelleran Beck. Home 1 rebuying Kelleran Beck and Mace Windu and all these great plays with all the resources we have is super powerful. So happy with that. What has my opponent got, though? What are they thinking about resourcing, huh? This is going to be a pretty interesting battle. I'm not going to lie. Timely Intervention is going to be a great draw for us if we happen to pick it up. So would love to see one of those. Let's see if they have removal for Reinforcement Walker. I do really want to get this Vader off the battlefield. It is a little bit concerning to have Vader on the battlefield here permanently. Shield tokens are pretty obnoxious as well. I think my opponent's in a pretty good spot. I think we are definitely behind the 8 ball here. And that's just ECL Vader, right? There's not a whole lot that we can do to really fight against it. Oh. Interesting. Honestly, I would not have expected them to kind of go that direction. But hey, you know what? We will attack in with the Reinforcement Walker. I'll actually draw the Sundari Peacekeeper this time because we actually have healed up so much off these Reinforcement Walkers that I'm actually okay with doing that. Oh, they're going to power the dark side. Okay, that's actually totally fine. We're going to go Caloran back here. And let's see what we can grab. I guess we'll grab the Cham Syndulla. Not a great Caloran back by any means. Would have loved to see, like, a Podamer in there. It's really what I would have loved to see. Gideon, claim initiative. They're going to heal. Do all this nonsense here. Resource the Cassian. So if I play this for 7, that means I can almost rebuy the Caloran back. I mean, we have to knock out Gideon. Gideon's just going to be way too much value throughout the game. They're going to put an experience token on Krennic. I mean, the shield tokens here are just so obnoxious. Oh, they're going to put a shield token on Shuttle. Interesting. A lot of my opponents have been really big 2-for-1s. Darth Vader, Lom Pike, Overwhelming Barrage. All of those have been really, really brutal to deal with. Ooh, okay, I mean, what can we grab? We can grab Podameron with the home 1. Which I think I will do. That's a pretty nice spot to be in. And now we can utilize all these extra cards that we have in hand. Didn't even need to damage the home 1 to do so. So like that. Okay, we'll go ahead and claim initiative. They smuggled out the Lom Pike. They're going to deal a little bit of damage to the Podameron. Get in for a little bit more damage. And I mean, yeah. Totally reasonable plays across the board. Crate Dragon. That's a pretty good draw. I do like me some Crate Dragons. Gonna knock out Lom Pike. We're gonna discard 1 card to get rid of the shield token. Trade off, and then they're gonna have to deal with the home 1, and we'll see what we want to do afterwards. Crate Dragon's a great draw. We have 3 of them in the deck, so 2 more to come. What do we have left? We have 2 more Caloran backs. We have 2 more home 1s. Avenger is not what I wanted to see, of course. Don't want to see Avengers. Crate Dragon. Avenger, very, very scary. No ambush on the blue leader. My opponent just having Krennic on the battlefield the whole game has been pretty obnoxious as well. I don't think we're going to have a lot of answers to this Avenger. I think we might have missed our opportunity. Ooh, Karabast is an answer, actually. We'll see if my opponent has, like, Fel the Dragon here. Obviously, Fel the Dragon, Rivals Fall, that type of stuff just ends the game immediately. What is my opponent going to be playing here? That Lom Pike plus Darth Vader combination, guys. It's very, very good. And ECL Vader, that is really the scary part. Overwhelming Barrage. Yeah, I don't even know why my opponent is even thinking about this one. Like, this is a very, very easy Overwhelming Barrage. GG to my opponent. Villainy Command, this is definitely a matchup where we both have very, very good late games, but the Avengers of the world are really, really scary. We would have had to draw our big haymakers a little bit earlier. So we would have really wanted Caloran back a little bit earlier. Crate Dragon, obviously, a lot earlier. Those types of cards in order to do some major, major value, but we didn't draw them until a little bit into the game. And that caused us to just stall out a little bit to where my opponent did find Vader and was able to kind of come back in the game. And of course, as I said, that Lom Pike, guys, Lom Pike just did so much work that game. From that next game, or from that previous game into the next one, we've got a double blue Krennic, which is also a little bit scary. Get rid of these Bendus. Don't really care for the Bendus in this matchup. They've got Guardian of the Wills, huh? Okay, maybe they're doing something completely different. I have no idea. Once you see Guardian of the Wills, I mean, who knows what your opponent's doing. All right, and we got no plays on turn 1 or turn 2. Little bit unfortunate there, I suppose. Power of the Dark Side. I mean, we just claim initiative, right? There's nothing else that we can do. Not great, not great. Double Crate Dragon. I mean, it can be good for sure. I'm just going to trust that my deck is going to do something good for me. Okay, I'm going to trust that my deck is going to reward me for being extremely greedy and, you know, not caring at all about what my opponent's doing over there. Size matters not. Okay, we'll claim initiative. And I mean, sure, they play size matters not, but it's actually just a trade with the Chewbacca, which isn't like too crazy. I think the size matters not's kind of cool. There's the Entrenched, though. Yeah, I mean, that is a fat unit. No doubts about that. Can you imagine if we had a normal unit at any point in this game? That's crazy. Anyways, let's resource one of the. Actually, I think it's just Reinforcement Walker. I think Crate Dragon's just too valuable here. We can go Grogu and Karabast on this turn. Grogu comes down. I have a feeling they are going to have an answer to this. Entrenched on the Guardian of the Wills isn't as scary, to be honest. Okay, let's go ahead and just hit the Guardian of the Wills with the Karabast. Happy with how that turned out. Or deploy Han and actually attack Dr. Pershing and then pass. We got another Bendu here. I'll resource that one. Yeah. Again, Bendu just hasn't felt all that fantastic in some of these matchups here. Let's go ahead and heal. Just to knock out the Dr. Pershing. Going to deploy Krennic. Let's go ahead and drop a Mace Windu here. If we attack with Han and they do something to kill my Han, then we no longer can put Mace Windu down on the board. And I guess they concede. I'm not sure what's going on in these games. Some of them are just like, dang, we battle out, opponent plays some big haymaker, or like they're a little bit ahead on board and we battle out, or they just, you know, start screaming at me or just concede immediately. Like, I don't know what my opponent really was doing this game, but they have 6 resources on a relatively even board, I would say. I mean, it's not like extremely favorable to one side. Obviously, our hand's pretty good if we get to Crate Dragons, which I assumed the game was going to go to, but yeah, I don't really know what was going to happen this game. Okay, into the next game, and honestly, pretty good looking hand here. I do like Red 5 and Grogu. That combination is pretty nice. I actually really like Timely Intervention up against Kira, because if we do have like a 3-drop that can be timelied out when Kira comes down, we can actually knock her out to avoid like Overwhelming Barrage. Honestly, Data Vaults, so much less scary than ECL. Like, it's not even close. All right, they're going to claim initiative. We're going to drop out of Grogu, and we're going to pass here. Tech is pretty good. We can go ahead and tech later on in the game. If we're running out of cards, of course. They may just go with a resupply here. It looks like they got a Pike Sentinel, so I'm actually not even going to resupply. I'm actually going to go for the, you know, put a little bit of aggressive value into the game by putting this Red 5 down. So let's pass. Scenario Peacekeeper. Not great draws, but it's okay. We'll see what my opponent's got. They got Power of the Dark Side. I mean, we'll just get rid of Grogu. It's fine. I think I'd rather at this stage not be using up all my actions on kind of doing what I was doing with Grogu. We'll go with resupply, and we will deploy Han and attack in for 3 and then pass. So there's a Cham and a Grogu again. No glory, only results. Let's go ahead and drop in a Grogu here. They're going to use Kira. Let's go with a Karabast, actually. Knock out Kira. Attack in for 3. Pass. Kelleran Beck, fantastic draw. That's exactly what I was kind of looking for. Vigilance, huh? Sure. They're going to heal up a little bit. Let's go with Kellerin Beck. And yeah, let's grab Echo Base. Seems pretty reasonable to me. I'm just going to attack in with Grogu. I actually rather have damage on him. Sabine Wren into the resource pile. We're getting to the stage of the game where I might... I don't know. We'll see what my opponent's got. Fell the Dragon. Sure. They're going to be playing the removal-centric game here. And I'm okay with just playing Reinforcement Walker and drawing all the cards in the world, actually. Let's go ahead and attack in for 1. They probably have a Super Laser Blast, but again, I don't really care about that because we have so much value in our deck that I think we can actually just come back from Super Laser Blast over and over and over again with Kellerin Beck. Like, our opponent's gonna have to have Super Laser Blast into Super Laser Blast into Super Laser Blast. Like, I'm gonna attack with Reinforcement Walker because I just want to draw cards. So now they have Super Laser Blast. Guess what? I just drew another Kellerin Beck. So yeah, Super Laser Blast away, but is it gonna actually save you? I don't know. I don't think so. Grab a couple of cards with the Darth Vader here. We're gonna play Kellerin Beck. We've got the potential to grab some big units like a Poe Dameron. There you go. That was pretty spectacular. We can go ahead and heal up our Kellerin Beck, actually, and just deal a couple points of damage to the Darth Vader. Pass. Crate Dragon, great draw. Again, if they Super Laser Blast, we drop a Crate Dragon. If they don't, then, I mean, the game feels pretty rough for my opponent. Like right here, what we can do is just go ahead and heal up Grogu and knock out Vader, which feels pretty good. And then we drop a Crate Dragon here. And I mean, my opponent's going to be in a real tough position. Right here, we're just going to attack in. I suppose I will discard the Poe Dameron to make them discard a card. I think my card for card value here is pretty good because we have another Kellerin Beck in hand. We also have the Cassian in the resource pile and Tech Reminder. So we have a lot of value to churn through right now. And look at that, a home 1. Like, this is what I mean by, like, if we're able to, like, kind of keep parity with the board, we have a lot to do. And we kind of have to put a little bit of pressure on them so that they have to come back. And then we can just recover from Super Laser Blast after Super Laser Blast, if they're even going to do that. But I mean, this game felt pretty straightforward. Even if they had Super Laser Blast, though, the game would have been still pretty one-sided. Didn't even ramp again. No ramping, no value from Cham. A little bit sad there. All right, into the next matchup. And honestly, it's the Thrawn Green player that just like conceded after they made a horrible misplay. And I like started to like play the game and I just go, your go. They're so triggered on like so many levels. This is just a night of triggering. So I'm not even gonna waste my time here. We're just gonna go ahead and move on to the next matchup. Hopefully we get a different matchup. I just feel the concessions coming soon, so we're just gonna move on. We're gonna mulligan this hand a little bit too late game focused. Okay, I like the Echo Base Defenders, and I do like the Grogu up against Rey Yellow. Now, I honestly do not know what to be expecting from Rey Yellow. I actually don't even know what people are going to be playing with Rey. Obviously, Force Throw. They're going to play Force Throw. Duh. But like after that, I honestly don't know. Home 1 and Reinforcement Walker. I think I'll resource the Reinforcement Walker. We'll go ahead and heal up the Grogu here. Deal a couple points of damage to the Caretaker Matron. They're going to be able to tip the scale, which is actually totally fine because we get to deploy Echo Base Defender here. And oh wait, that was actually a total mistake here because of Rey. Well, I'm gonna keep that in. You can't concede the as I have foreseen player earlier. Sorry, I gotta roast him. That's just how things go. Anyways, let's go ahead and drop into Chewbacca. I should not have used the action from Han. Otherwise, I would have just been able to play a 4-3 and been totally fine. But instead, I just gave them a free kill. So, you know what? That's the stage we're in. So, that's okay. Let's see if we can recover from a little bit of a blunder there. Again, these are the type of plays where like I make them because I'm like chilling. I'm thinking about other things while I'm recording, and then I make the play. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was not a good play. But yeah, pretty funny there. They've got the Ahsoka Tano. We just get to go ahead and heal up the Chewbacca, knock out the Caretaker Matron, and then like, what is my opponent going to do here? I am feeling pretty happy with how the game has turned out. What do they just play? Psychometry. Okay. Yeah, they get to pick up a Force card or a Jedi card or a Republic card. Looks like they got Ahsoka Tano, so reasonable play there. I think just taking care of the board here, keeping the Force units off the battlefield when they have access to Force throw and a bunch of other stuff is going to be pretty useful. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Resource the Sabine Wren because I think Chewbacca is probably going to die this turn, so I can just drop another Chewbacca. At least that's my expectation. Who knows if that's going to be actually the case. Yeah. Go ahead and attack in. Just kind of start dealing with some of their units. Just get them off the board. They've got Ahsoka Tano. We will discard, I suppose, the Chewbacca. They can exhaust the Grogu. Deploy Han. And then I think we're just going to go ahead and claim initiative. Force Throw is a little bit scary of a card here because they can knock out a lot of different units here, and they do happen to have Force Throw, which is fine, honestly. We didn't really have any other option out of it because we do need to have a play for next turn. And in this particular situation, okay, Confiscate, not actually a very, very strong card here. And they could Force Throw us again, so I think we just immediately drop Kelleran Beck. And okay, we'll grab a Tech. Tech is totally fine in this matchup. Yeah. Cham Syndulla is the discard of choice if they have another Force Throw. Force Throw is the scary card. As soon as we get through some of the scarier Force-based cards, I think we're totally fine. But of course, they have the second Force Throw. As per typical, they're going to be able to kill off the Chewbacca or the Grogu if they want to. But it looks like they actually did not want to kill off the Grogu. I mean, they could still attack Grogu with the Ahsoka Tano. But if I had healed up the Chewbacca... Oh, Ahsoka's lightsaber. Okay. What are they going to attack here? Kelleran Beck. Interesting. I thought they would have attacked Tech. Okay, they're going to deploy Vernestra. I mean, really, really interesting, combination of cards. But again, they've kind of gone through and a Sorceress Blast, which doesn't do anything because they don't have the Force. But they were able to knock out all of the various different units, which is pretty cool, to be honest. I think that's pretty cool for my opponent. Here, though, we just get to drop down a Bendu. And I mean, that's a fat unit. Okay, that is a massive chonker. So we'll see what my opponent's got. I don't really know what to expect here, but I am going to hit the Ahsoka Tano because, yes, Tekko's going to die. Totally fine. Don't really care about Tech dying. I'm going to claim initiative, and now Bendu gets to attack and wipe the board, right? 3 damage to each other units. If they deploy Rey, maybe they draw a couple of good cards. Hopefully they don't draw like a Waylay or a Will of the Force. That's the cards that I'm scared of. Caretaker Matron, not scary at all. Here, we just attack Rey and wipe their board, pretty much. Oh, they return Ahsoka to their hand. Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to go ahead and resupply here, or at least resource the resupply. Let's go ahead and attack Rey. Just knock out a bunch of units. Not a great draw, by the way. Not a great couple of draws. Ki-Adi-Mundi coming down. Being able to get a little bit of value. I mean, they've drawn 1 million cards, right? This is kind of the name of the game with Rey. I mean, they've dug through 15 additional cards from our deck. The Force throws were really critical in returning the tempo into their advantage. That's the type of card that you're really looking for with Rey. So that was obviously really good. We're looking for, I mean, if you look, we've resourced a Reinforcement Walker and we've played a Kelleran Beck, a home one. So definitely, like, we have way more options to deal with here. And hopefully we're actually going to be able to play them. Let's do an attack for 10. Just deal 3 damage to everything. Bendu actually doing pretty well here. They've got a grenade strike, huh? All right, well, we're going to heal up here and actually finish off the Ki-Adi-Mundi. And then we'll see what my opponent's got afterwards. Cham Syndulla is actually going to ramp us here, which is kind of nice. Shamsandula. We put a Karabast into the resource pile, so not too crazy there. Ooh, and they have a force throw. Wow. Last force throw available to them. Claim initiative. Deal damage to Grogu. Sure. Resource the Cassian Andor. And I mean, again, I'm just going to drop the Bendu. Don't really want to risk any more future discard that they may have. But they've gone through 3 force throws. I mean, we don't have anything else, right? Our hand is completely empty. So if they have Waylays or Will of the Force, yeah, I mean, look at that. They're going to be able to make us discard the Bendu. So this is where it gets a little bit scary, but we have so many cards in the deck that are so good here. Of course, we end up drawing, a bunch of cheap units, which is fine. It is what it is. But, that's how the cookie crumbles, right? We need to be able to pick up our more impressive cards, and we are just not quite getting there, right? We did get a Bendu, which is pretty good, so not bad there, but we'll see what my opponent's got to follow up here. Another Sorceress Blast from them. We don't have anything to, play afterwards. We'll see what they've got. Crate Dragon, great pickup here. Obviously, we're going to play the Crate Dragon. They could Will of the Force. If they do, then we hit Mace Windu for 4, and then we finish it off with red 5. So even though I'm saying like we haven't picked up our big stuff, I still don't think we're in a losing position necessarily. Crate Dragon was a pretty good draw, but we still have double Kelleran Beck, double Home 1 in the deck. Xian Flurry, huh? Okay. I mean, they're going to be able to draw a couple cards, but I don't think my opponent's going to like where this is going. We're going to be able to knock out their units here. And then we'll pass. See what my opponent's got. Like, I don't think they can win at this point. They did a whole lot of stuff and drew a lot of cards, and they did triple force throw us, but still not quite enough. I mean, this is the problem with the Crate Dragon plus red 5 here, is that I can hit any unit and kind of finish it off. So I think we have the game locked down at this point. They took initiative. We'll pass. We won't need to resource anything. We can even Bright Hope to return the Crate Dragon. But yeah, that's GG. So kind of interesting there. Like, they were doing some tempo advantage plays where they have just so many cheap resources, right? Sorceress Blast, Force Throw. They have the Tip the Scale to pick apart our hand. They have a lot of Ahsokas, which is kind of cool. But they don't have enough pressure on the board. They did all this stuff, but they don't have enough pressure to really push in a lot of damage. And that's the thing that they missed out on. And I even made a big mistake in the early game by just giving them an Echo-based defender for free. Like, that was a free kill for them. Had I not done that, I think the game would have been like super easy. We did end up drawing a Bendu and then missed a couple turns and then drew up another Bendu. But still, we were still, double Home 1 in our deck, double Kelleran Beck. We had 2 more Crate Dragons in the deck. We had 3 Mace Windus in the deck. So, like, we had massive amounts of end game plays. And that's kind of the name of the game, is when you're in this stage of like, yeah, play a unit, blah, 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 then boom, you just drop so many absolute bombs on your opponent. And that's the key. We even had a Reinforcement Walker as well. So pretty fun game. Honestly, I was excited to see what Ray was coming up with, but we just played good units, So what did we learn with Han, guys? Well, it's good. It's good. A key card in the deck really performed well was Grogu. This card I've played in many other decks, and it's just been kind of horrible. This is the only leader that makes Grogu viable, in my opinion. And in some games it's not as good, and in other games it's really strong. Just depends on the matchup. So definitely a very niche card, very niche card, but amazing addition to the new Han deck. Another card that is just blowing the whole deck out of the water is actually Kelleran Beck. We saw so many games there where you were able to just grab, Poe Damerons off the top, or Chewbacca's, or Chams, or whatever we happen to grab. That like Darth Vader type of effect is so powerful. Of course, the classics like Home 1s, Bendu's, reinforcement or home ones, Mace Windu's, reinforcement walkers, crate dragons, always a classic of the Han Data Vault decks. Bendu was honestly hit or miss. A lot of the games he was kind of just resource, because if we played him and then, you know, our opponent just played a removal, it's just like super bad for us. So one of the reasons why Reinforcement Walker, Home One, Mace Windu, Kelleran Beck, and Crate Dragon are so much better than Bendu is you get immediate effect. Kelleran Beck comes with another unit, Home One comes with another unit, Reinforcement Walker comes and draws you a card, Crate Dragon, you know, at least deals damage to them or kills off another unit if they play something. Bendu just comes down as a big unit. So in some matchups, it's amazing. Like that last Ray game, Bendu came in clutch, wiping the board on for us. Whereas, you know, Home Ones or Kelleran Becks might not have been as effective at doing what Bendu ended up doing for us. But in other games, as I said, he's just a fat unit, and sometimes he would just kill our own units. Like in the first game when I time lead out Bendu, it's obviously just a negative because I just killed my own units, right? So definitely a lot of fun, and clearly rage-inducing, as we found out today, between the Thrawn player and the what's it called, the other player. Who was the player that were, I don't even, it was a, I don't remember actually. I don't even remember. Oh, it was the hidden player, the one that complained about their Shin Hati getting murdered because we double discarded from Poe Dameron and defeated the shield and deal 2. So fun stuff there. But you know what? It was a fun deck. It's pretty strong. Data Vault Han is already one of the best decks in set 4. In set 5, I expect it to be one of the better decks already. I've had some people really experiment with some other stuff. Like, I really wanted to try a Force synergy deck with like the new Yoda and stuff, and honestly, it just felt a lot weaker because you do have to play like the bases to generate the Force, and you're losing out on so much HP that it feels pretty bad. But you still get Yoda, which is a really good addition, especially in a deck that can ramp you early. So that's really, really key. But like outside of that, you don't really get like a crazy amount of other Force cards that you really are interested in playing. Eth Koth is another one that I do think is pretty good, but outside of that, we're playing the main ones, which is Kelleran Beck, Bendu, and we've got ourselves the Grogu here. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all for a video soon.